Hi, and welcome to this week's episode of the Power of PD YouTube channel. I am so excited that you are here. My name is Erica Harrell. I am a former teacher, principal, network leader, and now ed consultant, helping educators to design and deliver high-quality professional development for other educators. So in this week, we're going to talk about designing a scope and sequence for your program. Okay, I'm excited because I'm going to show you a couple scope and sequence templates that I've created. But first I want to just go over what are some of the things to include in your scope and sequence. Okay, scope and sequence really wants to share with your learners as well as be an organizing document for you to have what are you teaching and when. It's pretty much the big idea of a scope and sequence. So when it comes to what are you teaching, what are your topics, what are your objectives or goals that you have, and when are you teaching that? So is it in a specific module that this is happening? Is it a specific date? Is it a professional development session 1, 2, 3? So when might look different depending on your program, but it's basically you want to say these objectives, goals, or outcomes, however you want to use, whatever word you want to use, are being covered at this time. Now, that's the bare minimum of scope and sequence. You can take it to the next level and include a bunch of other things, and here are a couple ideas. So in addition to when, the length of time that this experience will be could also be included. Is this a 90-minute experience? Is it a 10-minute asynchronous video? So you can include the length of time that you anticipate that this will take or that you're planning for this to be. You also can include who's included or who will take place in each of the learnings, because there might be situations where your program has a VIP level and maybe they get a specific module that other people don't get for whatever reason. So you want to include who. It also might be that you're including some differentiation in your PD program where you've worked with your school to say this is going to be the session for first year teachers and this is the session for more veteran teachers. So you could include when into your scope and sequence as well. Another thing you can include in addition to who is the little bit of the how. So you're not going to plan out all of your activities in the scope and sequence, of course, but you could include, is this going to happen in a more traditional PD? Or is this like a practice type of PD? Or is this going to be small group or whole group? So you can give a little bit of details in your planning of your scope and sequence about how will the learning occur in this time period for each of the sessions. Another thing you may choose to include in your scope and sequence is a list of knowledge, skills, and mindsets that folks will acquire in each of your sessions. So you have the outcomes and the goals, but maybe you just want to go a bit deeper so that when you get to planning each of your sessions, you have a list that you can double check. Okay, I was hoping that my educators, my learners would acquire this skill. Did I truly reach that through my plan? Do I feel confident in my plans to reach this skill with my learners? So that's another option to include in your scope and sequence. All right, and then the last three things that I will group together that you may choose to include are pre-work, homework, and resources. So as you're going through and creating your scope and sequence, you might want to think through, what do I need my learners to do or know or believe before they enter this space? What will they do after they leave the space to continue the work and the learning? And then are there resources that I'm going to bring to the space or provide to my learners so that they can get the best out of this experience? So pre-work, homework, and resources are another option of just, you might list those out in your scope and sequence. All right, so now let's take a look at a couple different examples of scope and sequence templates that I've put together. So this template is one that I might use with a school or if you're doing a professional development series at a school. In column A, you'll notice you would write out the goal of this experience, and then you could think about the learning space. So is this something that you are going to do whole group, small group by grade level, small group by content area, or maybe another different small group configuration that you thought of, like the example I gave earlier, first year teachers and more veteran teachers? Is this a one-on-one professional development opportunity, or is this other? So when you're doing a full program, you have the opportunity to be really creative in this and give the true support that your schools need in order to reach the outcome. So you might want to choose what learning space it is. And then there's the option to think about the type of learning it might be, a little bit of the how. Is this a facilitator-led session? Is it going to be small group coaching or one-on-one coaching? Is this actually a lesson planning where we co-plan together? Is it a data review and action planning session? Maybe it's observation feedback, and that's the type of development you're providing to your schools, or there's something different. And then there's a space for you to put the topic or topics. And then here are spaces for the outcomes. I love, love, love to always be taking and thinking about your outcomes, not only from the adult level, but to the student level. So if the adults get this really, really well and they implement this to fidelity, what will it look like for students? Both quantitative and qualitative are great to think through. And then finally, the dates. So when is this happening? So that's where you get that what and that when, the scope and sequence. So that's one example. Here's another example that you might use if you're doing a digital course or a small group coaching program and you have different modules. So in this example, let me get my mouse over here, you would put the name of the module that would include the topics. You would put the length that this is happening. So is this going to be a 30-minute video or a 90-minute live call? What objectives are going to be covered, and here's your pre-work, homework, and resources. And you would do that for each of the different modules you have, adding however many that you have in your program. The other thing that is on this last tab is a knowledge, skills, and mindsets list. So you could take in each module, put the module down column A, and then list the knowledge, skill, or mindset, and then you won't put the module in column A, you would put the module here in column C through H, where you would just simply add an X for each of the modules that this is covered in. So then you can easily see, okay, in modules 5 and 6, I am covering this skill with my learners, so I want to make sure that I know that it's coming, and then you can even share this with them. They'll know when it's coming. So those are 2 examples of scope and sequence templates that you could use for your program. Okay, I hope that this was helpful. If you have any questions, drop them in the comments below. Feel free to reach out to me on Instagram. I'm at Erica Harrell Consulting. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel so that you receive notifications when I send another video your way. And then I hope you have a great rest of your day. Don't forget to embrace the power of PD.